Morning and welcome back. We're continuing on with the work down at the farm. Today's Saturday morning. We were meant to come yesterday, but I had an opportunity to try and conclude the saga of the ABS light on the motorhome. Didn't succeed, the saga goes on, but I took the opportunity yesterday, Friday, to go and try and get that sorted. So today's Saturday morning. We normally have a lazy day, either Saturday or Sunday, but not both. We fancied coming down here and getting some air, so what we're going to do, we're going to do some sort of pottering odd jobs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll turn you around in a minute and I'll quickly show you just what we're going to get done today. So up the top here, where I've ploughed and eventually killed the plough, we've got some of these weeds that have come up here that have been churned up by the plough. Anthony's just going to shake the rocks out of that, put them into the wheelbarrow. There's some more over here. Put them into the wheelbarrow and get them into the composter down below. Some there, and I think she's got another little bit of a pile here. Yeah, so she's going to get on with that, and I'll take you over to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get these signs here, these video signs up on the pillows here. I'm just going to glue them on with liquid nails. You've got the camera, you can see it quite easily, but it's right over there. You just see it in the distance. So I want to try and stop people at the gateway before they even start entering the property if possible. So I'm going to get these up and on, and I'll bring you back in when I'll start with that. Okay, so what I've done is I offered the signs up there to see more or less where I want them, which is about there, which happens to be 50 centimetres from the top of the pillar down to here. Then what I've done is I found the centre. This is 62, so the centre's 31 centimetres. And then what I've done is I've measured 10 centimetres each side so that our sign's centre. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, because this is bare mortar, to stop the mortar sucking the moisture out of the sealant I'm going to use, the adhesive I'm going to use, I'm going to Unibond this. Now, I can't seem to find Unibond here in Spain, so what I do is I make my own out of UPVA wood glue. Works just as well, I use it quite a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some PVA glue, my version of Unibond on here first, give that a chance to dry, and then I'll stick the sign on. Go a little bit of watered down wood glue. Crazy accurate with this because it's transparent when it's set, so you won't see it. Not to wipe my lines out too much. That's done. What I should do is when we finally finish, we get the gate actually in here and the pillar caps on. These are going to be covered in what they call a Capablanca. I suppose it's an outdoor impermeable plaster. The nearest thing we probably have to do it back in the UK is Terraline, and you just smooth that on. So it won't hurt for this to be on here, and I will do the whole of the pillars before I actually put the Capablanca on this in the future. So that's it for now. I'll clean the bucket and wait for that to dry. Okay, and the other little job we're going to do today is we're going to put this trench, I think I mentioned it before, across here, and then lay some drain pipe for these pipes and cables to feed through. What's going to happen, I've had to order some more because I've got these aren't right. They're the right type of valve, but they're the wrong voltage. These are 24 volt AC, house power, and they're not going to be good for what we want to do our job for. They use 24 volt AC because it's only for sprinkler systems for houses and that, so they reduce the voltage down obviously for safety, and that's sort of the standard thing for if you have a sprinkler system or irrigation system with your house. Obviously we're in the middle of nowhere and we're going to be running off 12 volt solar, so I've reordered 2 more of these. You can't get them in England, in Spain rather. The standard ones are all you really get here, but you can get them via AliExpress direct from China. They're about 26 euros each. And then I'll have a 12 volt DC sort of battery power one to put in here. And what they'll do is, where you've got these manual valves here, they'll replace them. This bit of pipe here will have a T put in, that'll come down to here, connect to that, and then we'll have another pipe here, a reducer down to this. And then what we'll do then is when the timer clicks on, obviously that'll open the valve. The valves that are coming are permanently closed, except when they have power to them, you can get permanently open, which only close when you've got power to them. But we're going with the permanently closed ones. And that'll then be able to hook up to the timer, and we'll be able to get our trees watered whilst we're away, hopefully. The other one's going to go, replace that tap completely and go in there, which will be pretty easy to do. And that'll be the take the water down and water the olive trees on the lower level. Okay, so I think I'm going to get back up and see if that Unibond's dried and get our signs on the wall, and then I'll drop back down to here with the digger after. We're only planning on doing a couple of hours today. We want to do a bit of pottering, but we don't want a full-blown half day down here, and then we're going to go home and chill out. Okay, got a little bit of sealant left over from when I fitted the safe in the van. You might see that video. So I'm just going to put it on the back of this and glue it on. Okay, that's plenty. Make sure it's not upside down. Okay, it's all lined up on the marks. I'm just going to stick a bit of tape along the bottom to stop it from sliding down the wall. Okay, and that should do it. It shouldn't slip down the wall, but you can be damn sure if I don't put the tape on it will do. And the case of rinse and repeat on the other side. Okay, so I'm just trying to get the stones out of the weeds. We've had to bring the dumper up because it's turned out there's a lot more than we thought there was once you get it into a pile. We're going to have a dumper full. I've said it before in numerous previous videos, but I'm going to say it again as we go out for the videos. If you've got a choice of what machine you're going to buy for your homestead or for your off-gridding, forget about a tractor. I hear a lot of people mention, oh, we're going to get a tractor later, we're going to get a tractor. And probably you'd never have any intention of doing any ploughing. That's the only use for a tractor, and the only thing that a tractor does better than a dumper. A dumper's about at least a quarter of the price. You can normally pick one up if you look and you're shrewd for about €500–600. They're normally super reliable. The Spanish ones have got a German engine in it, the Ausas, albeit dangerous they are, but they are super reliable. So yeah, go for a dumper, not a tractor. Okay, so we've put the weeds down the bottom and I've put them next to the composter. Anfield trim out the thick, chunky stuff out of it, and then try and push the rest of it into those two little bins. I've marked out where I'm going to put the trench with sand along here, purely because it's always so easy when you're up on the digger and you've got the line underneath you to see where it is and dig in a straight line or to finish and end in the right place. So I'm going to get the digger up here, get this trench dug. It's not going to be too deep, probably about 40–50 centimetres. It's got to be able to take 10 tonnes over the top of it, which is the weight of my big digger loaded or my little lorry loaded. Okay, so we've got the pipe in, covered. We're a little bit short, so I've got a little piece out. I thought we might get away with just a straight coupling, but it's still not going to be quite long enough, so I think we have to get another length of pipe, and that'll do us. It's not particularly expensive. This pipe's 75mm in diameter, so the biggest pipe we'll ever put down the inside of this if we upgrade will be 40mm, and then we've got a couple of wires to go in there, so more than enough room to feed pipes through and change pipes if need be through here. Most of the time, if we can, we keep on top of the ground. Okay then, so we're about finished for the day. I'm just going to quickly show you something which tickled us. Over here in our vegetable patch, which we're not growing vegetables or spring vegetables this year because with Anthea breaking her arm, I sort of had to take a slack at home. Didn't have time to be messing about with vegetables. So last year we pulled up the potatoes. I thought I got every single last one up. We put 10 potato plants in, or 10 seed potatoes. 9 of them took, and we end up with about 7 kilos. It's not that brilliant. The ground's a bit heavy. We didn't test it or anything before, and we just planted them. Now this year, all on their own, look at all these potato plants that have come up, and I was really thorough to make sure I got every last potato up because I wanted the maximum weight. But we've counted over 30 in there now. They've just all come up on their own. I mean, we've started watering them now we've noticed them, but yeah, contrary buggers. Okay then, so we're going to finish up today, and we'll bring you back in. It'll be next week sometime. Good morning and welcome back. This week we were meant to be doing repairs to the motorhome, preparing it ready for our tour of northern Spain. But I'm still having trouble with the ABS light. The company that provides my scanner still hasn't provided the software update for me to run a check on the ABS system. So unfortunately, I've had to resort to taking it into a mechanic. Now, I haven't had great experiences with mechanics here in the past, or even in the UK for that matter, but last time I took a vehicle in to have a clutch replaced on a Freelander, I made it easy for him. I put all the clutch in the back all ready for him, took it in. 3 months later, 13 visits later, I got down there, they fitted the clutch, but he told me it wasn't working. It was my clutch that was the problem. Anyway, I finally got the vehicle home. I thought, yo, you're not touching that anymore, I'll do it myself. Got it apart, and I put the actual clutch disc in the wrong way around, despite it actually saying gearbox side written on the clutch plate. So kind of puts me off mechanics a bit. Also mentioned on that is when I drained the transfer box on this particular vehicle, there was no water drain. They forgot to stop it back up. So it supports my theory that even though some people think that once they start taking it to a mechanic for serious things that the car's on its way out, what is often the case is mechanics repair one problem and create a new one. And that would have been the case there. 6 months down the line, I would have had to pay for a new transfer box. So luckily, maybe that he didn't put the clutch in the right way round. Anyway, I digress slightly. The motorhome's down to a garage where I've taken a customer's car in the past, drove it down for an elderly customer for them, and they seem to be quite successful. So hopefully they'll find the problem with the ABS, because without the scanner, I'm sort of having to take wheels off and test resistance on different sensors. It's a long way around of doing it without having a diagnostic tool. So we've decided to not waste time. We've got down the land. We're getting the pipes back out after the ploughing to get irrigating the top levels. I'm also going to do a bit of strimming, which I wasn't going to do till the spring, but we've got the time, so I may as well try and get a bit of strimming out the way. And other odd jobs around the farm. So what we'll do is we'll bring you back in as and when we're going through, and when we've got some interesting bits and pieces. You can probably see from the footage, the flies are starting to come out and help us. It's 8:30 and we're already sweating. Okay, so we'll get on and I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, I've covered this in previous videos, but just in case you're new to the channel, I'm just going to spin you around and show you the system we've got for irrigating the upper levels. We was hoping to get a tank in on the upper level this year, but with the price of materials going up, blocks are doubled in price, and cement's gone up from sort of 280 a bag to 460 a bag. But no, I'm not paying it. I'll wait until things come back down again, hopefully, and then we'll build the tank. There was also the time issue as well. We just didn't have time to do it with everything else in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'll quickly run through what we do to get the water up to the top levels. So I'll spin you around for that now. Okay, so we've got our generator connected to our water pump. That runs with a hose pipe up to the top and connects into the irrigation system at the top level. This tank here naturally levels itself from the main deposit to the main balsa over there, which I've shown you in the past. That's just got a pipe going into the water tank there, so it draws water out of here through the pump up to the top levels. It's that simple. Okay, so I'll spark up the generator and then we'll go up to the top and see if they're watering. Okay, so that's working, it's starting to come through. This one's got a nozzle missing, so we're going to have a wander around, check that they're all flowing properly again, and replace any nozzles that are missing. Okay, they're all working. We've been around, Alfie's been around and checked to make sure they're all sprinkling properly. Had to replace a few. Okay, I won't show you too much about this because it's all in previous videos, irrigation. I will probably make a video at a later date though on how to construct all the irrigation system and how all the different components that you buy, how to put them together, etc. But for now, we're going to let them water, use this tank up. We're going to heavily water these trees at the top here for the next 3 weeks before we go away, because on a weekly basis, purely because they're not going to get water while we're away. We can't come and do the pump, whereas the lower levels, hopefully I'll build an automated system for that. All those bits are on the way and should be here in time. I'll build a solar powered irrigation system for down the bottom there, and they'll water themselves. Okay, so I'm going to get on with some strimming. Good morning and welcome back. We're back down the farm. I spent this morning finishing off building the solar powered automated irrigation timers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to carry on a little bit longer. I mean, it's going to hit high 30s today and we're on about 12:30, so we're not going to do much more. But we're going to try and prepare a bit more of these pipes and get them laid where we want them, and the cables laid where we want them for the electronic valves. So I'll spin you around in a minute and show you what we're going to get on with. So what we've got to do is carefully with the digger get this pipe out, which runs all the way along under the ground here to here, and we're going to feed it through this tube up here. Just at the end of the tube is where the timers are going to go. We're going to feed it through this tube here, which is going to come out over there somewhere. We're also at the same time going to feed in some narrower pipe, which we're going to use to house the cables for the electronic valves. So we'll get on, get this pipe dug up carefully and see how we go from there. Okay, so we've managed to get 2 wires threaded, 2 speaker cables threaded through this pipe here. That's one for each valve, which will go all the way back through this pipe underneath here. And comes up here. This will go up the centre mounting tube of the timer and up to the timer. This pipe, we're a bit short of pipe, so we're going to have to get a straight connector, which I haven't got. Connect that up and then push that down through the pipe and to lengthen that a bit. Okay, so we're going to call it today. It's getting too hot down here. We're due another storm. Good morning and welcome back. We're back down the farm this morning. It's a bit cooler than usual. We've got quite a bit of cloud overhead. So it's a good opportunity to get on and finish this final job for the summer, which is fitting this automated irrigation system. The drama of the motorhome is now finished. We've finally got the ABS light switched out. Got it down for the ITV, which is the equivalent of the British MOT, and that passed. So we've got this last job to do and then we're all ready to get off to northern Spain. So in a minute I'll quickly spin you around, just let you know, just to tell you what we've got to do to finish off, and then we'll get on with it. Okay, so the original pipe isn't long enough to go through all the way through. I've saw some additional pipe that's been kicking around the farm, so which will go through. So we'll get that fitted through all the way through the pipe, out through the end, and we'll make all the automatic electronic connections into the pipe work over there. Okay, so we'll get on with that, and we'll bring you back in when we've got something else to show you. Okay, I just thought I'd show you this bit because I've watched a few people doing off-gridding over in Portugal for newbies to this, and I've seen them make a few mistakes joints. Now, in theory, these are compression joints. You should just be able to push the pipe in and twist it. In reality, they rarely make a good seal that way. So what I normally tend to do, it takes a bit longer, but it does the job properly, is I take the joint apart, I push it in first, then I undo the nut, and then I'll make sure this rubber seal here is at least 1.5 centimetres along this pipe. Then I connect it in and screw this back up. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, but you've only got to do it once and it does it properly, and then you're assured of no real leaks. I've seen a lot of people do this in Portugal. They've slipped these joints in, blocked all their water system up, and then water starts pissing out these joints. That's a surefire way of stopping that from happening. Okay, so whenever you're fitting a new fitting to an old pipe, it's always a good idea to cut a few off, a couple of inches off the end, just to make sure you've got a good piece of pipe that's going to seal. Get rid of the old bit. Another thing worthy of note is there's two different types of pipe. You note here this has got a blue line around it, and this one should more or less faded off, but it should have a red line down it. Red line is irrigation above ground, and the blue line is for domestic house use. If you look down the end, you can see there's a considerable difference in the diameter of the pipe, and this is made out of a harder plastic, more durable plastic. The irrigation pipe is a bit more rubbery. So this is perfectly acceptable and easy to use for everyday use on irrigation. This household use, you can put it under the ground, even though I was still advised feeding it through a 40mm pipe if you do it under the ground to protect it. Okay, so we've got our pipe coming down from the top there, down here, through the grey pipe, out this side, and we've got our first valve fitted, our first electronic valve. So we've just got the wires to connect up to that. On the end here, we'll go a stop end, which I specially make with a hole in it, which this in turn then will then plug into. Going along here, we've got another valve. This does the water, it's taking it all the way down to the olive grove down below. Another electronic valve there, and you can see the electronic wires here. Now we've got two sets of wires here. There. They've got to go to here, and then the other set, I think I'm going to take a nick out the pipe here, pull the wires through to make a connection on to here. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do here is try and take a little hole out of here with a stony knife without cutting through the wires, and pull one of those two wires through here to power this valve. Okay, so I've taken this nick out the side of the pipe, I've pulled this wire through to go to this valve here. I'll set another piece of pipe on and I'll slice half it off. So I'll slide this along onto here, grip, and then slide this other length of 40mm pipe up, cover the joint. May put some tape on or something later, but the main thing, like I said in previous videos before, the enemy here in Spain is the opposite to England. The enemy is the sun and the rain's our friend. Okay, so we've got our two cables from our electronic valves. I've added another extra drawstring onto it to add future wires for other parts of the land. I've attached that to the drawstring that's going up through the centre of the post and control box. So I'll try and pull that through now. Okay, so we've got as far as we can setting up the timers down below. We're going to wait for the concrete to set around the post before we start messing with that any further. Now we've come across another problem. Everything seems to be fighting us. The tank we normally take, draw our water off to feed our tank so that we can pump water up to the top level, is too low for it to self-fill the tank on this lower level, so we can pump it up to the higher levels. And we need to really saturate these trees before we go, because we've got no means of watering them for the month we're away. So I'll take you down below and show what alternative we managed to cobble together to get around this. So what we've done is we've filled up a water tank at home, a 1,000-litre tank in the back of the van, driven it down here, and we've connected it with a pipe round here. And into the bottom of this tank here. So what we'll do now is basically it'll find its level. The water from this tank in the back of the van will find its level and fill this tank here, and then the pump there will pump it up to the top there, up that greenhouse to the upper levels. So that seems to be working. So I'm back down the pond this afternoon. It's about 6 o'clock now. I did say earlier I wasn't going to wire in the timers and everything today. I was going to leave the concrete chance to dry, but it seems to have gone hard. It's had quite a few hours, so I decided to wire in the system and get that done rather than just sitting around doing nothing while the watered the trees. So I'll turn you around and show you what I've done. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the timers in. In the end, I didn't fix this fuse box or glue it to anything. It just slots in there and wants to sit in there nicely. It's not like it's in a car and it's moving around a lot, so I think that'll be fine. Battery's wired up. Even though it's not showing charging, it's pretty dull at the minute, so I'm not too worried about that. And I know the solar panel is working because all the display lit up before I connected the battery. So it was powered by the solar power, not the battery before. So I think we'll leave that overnight. If it's sunny tomorrow, we'll see if it's actually charging the battery. If not, I'll have to revert back to the instructions. Good morning and welcome back. It's the next day now, Sunday. And the second day of us watering the top trees with the water we're bringing in the van. We're now desperately trying to get everything finished down the land so we can get on our way to northern Spain. So we're going to crack on, do about another 3 tanks from the house today to the land at the top, and probably test the new irrigation system below manually. We can't obviously do it with the times, but at least we can push the manual button and see that all the valves are working. And hopefully with a little bit of tidying with the digger, we'll be able to call it a day down here and then start packing ready to go on holiday. Okay, so whilst we're waiting for the trees at the top to water, we've decided to come down and get a few grapes to take with us. There's 2 types of grape here. This one here, they're both genetically produced in a lab originally, so they're both seedless. This one's an American one. I believe it's prime, but I'll have to check and I'll put it up on the screen. This is normally a month on from now, so we'll leave them. But the one to the right here, this is actually an Israeli grape, and it's normally ready about a week earlier. About a month earlier. So we're going to take these now. They're just about ready. They're a bit of a smaller grape than the American one, but they're quite sweet and sharp at the same time, if that makes any sense. So they are a really nice eating grape. Anthony's just going to cut them off. We're trying these bags this year because in the past we've had the wasps that got to them first. We've tried putting a net over, but they seem to manage to make it over the net. But we're trying out these little bags, which seem to work quite well. We can't seem to get them in Spain for some reason. They do paper bags, so I suppose they're as good for as long as it doesn't rain. But these ones are actually from China, from AliExpress, and they work really well. And now hunt them out.
Yeah. I like it.
So we've got quite a few. Should do us in over our holiday if we keep them in the fridge. Yeah, somebody can't wait. Decided she must test them to make sure they're all right. Okay, so I'm back down the farm this afternoon. Left Anthea at home. She's preparing tea and getting ready, packing and things like that for us going away. What I've done is I've finished watering above. I've given the top trees about 4,000 litres of water, deep watering, so they should be all right for the month. Also, what I've done is, you can see I've filled this tank up a little way here, and also if we go across to the grey tank over here, this one is full as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down below and manually override the timers and see if it opens the valves and if the irrigation system's going to work, which we've just fitted. So I'm over at the timer. Got a slight problem. I don't know exactly what it is. It's not showing the battery charging. Now this battery is a 12 volt, so in perfect condition it should be showing 12.8 volts. But in actual fact it's showing 13.4 volts. Now this solar panel module is designed for 12 and 24 volts, and what it does, it identifies what voltage the battery is and then charges it accordingly. Well, I think probably the problem is it's struggling to identify the battery because it's a bit overpowered. So I'm hoping in time, once it discharges, it will discharge back down to probably about 12 volts. It'll identify the battery and start charging. Either way, there's nothing I can do about it now, so it'll just have to take its chances. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to, I'm going to manually override the fruit tree one. Okay, and hopefully that should have opened the valve and that should now be watering. Let's go and check. Okay, so that appears to be working. What you're looking at here is the actual tap right on the end of the line. And I normally open that right up to get the air out of the lines first. You can see there's quite a lot of bubbles coming out of all the air in the pipework because I've been messing with it. So we'll let that run a bit longer and I'll turn this tap right down to a steady trickle to water this tree. And then we'll settle for that. We'll call that working. Okay, so now I'm going to switch this back onto automatic. Okay, that's back in auto, and now we'll manually override this one. And we'll go and check down the bottom, see if we're getting water down at the bottom. See, this valve's got the shakes here. It's obviously quite a bit of air going through the pipe here. Okay, it doesn't appear to be any leaks apart from this little one on the end here. There's quite a lot of colour in the water here, so I suspect by the time I get back that would have sealed itself. So we're just getting the last little bits of water out of the tank, draining it dry. I think I'm going to leave the tank down at the farm. No reason for it to go back to the house, and then I can take the generator and the pump back with me. It saves me 2 trips. Okay, so the water's just starting to come out. It's been about half an hour to do a few other odd jobs while the air started to clear. But you can still see there's plenty of air in the pipe. That valve there's having a good old little dancing fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it, switch it off, even if it takes a couple of weeks for the air to completely clear. We've had a couple of storms the past few days, which is unusual for July. And as you've seen from previous videos, the lower level gets the most water, and it looks pretty damp down there at the minute, so I'm not too concerned. So I'm going to put these makeshift blocks over the top, which I've made up to cover them, protect them from the sun, and call it a day, I think. Okay, so as you can see, that's just switched off, so success. Good morning and welcome back. It's the next day, Monday morning, and I've got down to the farm early. You can probably just see the sun coming up over the hills behind me, just to check that the timing system's working properly. Last night I set the fruit trees on for 4 hours, starting at 4 in the morning, finishing at 8, and that's just switched off. So that's working. Now how well the watering's done, I don't know. Whether there's been enough pressure to go through the valve. If it's slower, it's definitely watering. If it's slower, I'll probably have to increase the hours. But anyway, I'll go and check on the trees and see what we've got. Okay, so I've checked all around the trees. They don't look particularly wet, but when I've got to the top tanks, nearly all the water's gone, nearly 1,000 litres. So it could be a case that it's just a constant drip, 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 and not flooding the, less pressure's not actually flooding the pothos. So I think I'm going to end that video there. I hope you enjoyed it. Apologies if it's been a bit patchy and disjointed here and there. Obviously, we're desperately trying to get ready to go away and travel up to northern Spain. We're going to go and pack the motorhome in a minute. So filming takes time. We've not been doing as good a job as we probably might have liked to have done. Unfortunately, a lot of the time we didn't have time to actually take footage, or the footage we took wasn't that great, or what I was saying wasn't coherent to anybody who doesn't actually speak Mac. So all it remains is to thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.